Hello, welcome back to HowtoDandD. Today we're going to talk about beginner character creation, the Paladin. It's been a little way coming. I had planned to do it last week. The idea was I was going to do either Ranger or the Paladin last week. It didn't happen for various reasons, but this week it will happen. So that's good news for those of you who wanted the Paladin. It's going to happen. Don't worry about it. So, normally with these, what I do is I have a slideshow. I present the slideshow first, and then I open it up to Q&A or questions and answers. I will be running a poll at the same time, and then after that we build a character. Now, most of the stuff, it gets done pretty quickly, so we usually have the vast majority of the time allocated for this to actually engage in character creation. I'm going to use D&D Beyond today to build the Paladin, but I would highly recommend that you grab yourself your phone, use your phone to listen to me and watch as I go through this process, and then either have a piece of paper or a character sheet and your dice. Make sure you have dice with you, pencil or pen if you need to, or if you're going to be building it online, then I would suggest using like a fillable PDF or so forth, and you're not using it on doing paper, then have your desktop computer open or your laptop, and I'll go through the process and show you how to build a character. And the character we will build, of course, will be the Paladin. Okay, so hopefully that's covered everything that I needed to explain. So rather than like beat around the bush, we'll get straight into it. Make sure you have some food, some drink, and get comfortable because we have plenty to cover. And of course, as always, never enough time to do it. I'm going to apologize right now. I am unwell today. So unwell that I will not be going to work. So I will definitely be trying to finish up early. And that's a product of me just not being capable of doing anything else, unfortunately. Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Weller, and today I want to talk about Dungeons & Dragons. Today the topic is the Paladin. This is Dungeons & Dragons 5e, Lesson 1, Beginner Character Creation. This is where we learn how to build our character, particularly for the first time. My overview for today, what we will be covering, is character creation, the pre-check, what you do before you even start building your character, the character sheet formats that are available to you, the character creation basic steps, some advanced character details. I'm going to give you some miscellaneous recommendations, and we'll also cover character class essentials. What that means is character class essentials means we cover the specifics of a particular class, and the class that I will cover today is the Paladin. Now, I have some objectives. I'm going to explain everything as I go. I'm going to demonstrate as much as I possibly can, and I want you to participate in this whole process, so make sure you have some dice with you because you're probably going to need that, or even a character sheet so you can fill out a character sheet as we go. I'm going to highly recommend that as a way to deal with this whole thing. So D&D Beyond has a character builder for Dungeons & Dragons 5e. It's available. You can sign up to D&D Beyond for nothing. This is not a sponsored ad, by the way. This is not a sponsored ad. What I will say is some of it you have to pay for and some of it you don't. Okay? And so there are lots of other apps and software packages out there that do this sort of thing, but this is a very good one. And I just wanted to mention it for today. Right. Let's get into the process of the character creation pre-check. This is all the things that you should be doing before you even start building the character. It's often stuff that is overlooked by many people who build characters, and it's not something you should. First off, I'm going to say, check with the Dungeon Master what player character options are available for the game being run. What house rules does the Dungeon Master have for character creation and for playing the game? Because both will affect how you build your character. Build the character for the campaign on the information provided by the Dungeon Master. And if they haven't provided anything, ask for relevant details that will allow you to know a little bit about the adventure and campaign without giving away spoilers, so you can build a character to fit the campaign, adventure, or game. Character creation always starts as a group discussion because characters are part of a team. They are part of a group machine, And just like any team sport, you have to plan together, train together, and play together. And so therefore, the creation aspect needs to be done together. Designing characters around the 3 pillars of play. That means build a character that can do exploration, social interaction, and combat. Rather than focusing on one aspect such as combat, a one-trick pony means that you only get to participate in the game 1/3 of the time because the game is taken up by other aspects, and so make sure you make a character that can do everything. I'm going to say right now, you need to ask your Dungeon Master what ability score method can be used or will be used, and when will it be used. So when I talk about ability score methods, what I mean is, are we going to be using the point buy system to determine our character's ability scores? Are we going to be using the standard array, or will we be actually rolling dice? And if we're rolling dice, the normal convention, most Dungeon Masters do not like it when you roll your dice away from their eyes and the group. You are going to be accused of cheating for good reason, because people do, okay? So whenever you roll for your ability scores, if you are allowed to do so, make sure you ask. You need to do it in front of the Dungeon Master, in front of the group. Determine what hit point method is going to be used, what is allowed, and when to use it. So hit point methods basically means, are you going to be using the average hit points you get every time you level up beyond level 1, because at level 1 you get maximum hit points, or will you be rolling? Will you be able to roll dice? If you're rolling dice, again, make sure you do so in front of the Dungeon Master and the group, rather than doing it on your own in your own little space where nobody else can see what's taking place. Always a bad move. It's not a good thing to do. Character sheet formats. There are a variety of different character sheet formats available to you. There is the standard paper character sheet, and use a pencil to fill it in. You can use a pen, but the problem with a pen is you can't rub it out and you will need to change things. I recommend a pencil and use an eraser or a rubber. That's the thing on the end of the pencil, okay, to actually remove any pencil marks when you need to change anything as you level up. You can also use a fillable PDF character sheet where you can actually print it out and store it on your computer. This is very handy. I would say it's probably one of the most used aspects I find myself when I'm not paying for anything or using any software. I'll use a fillable PDF because it just saves a lot of money in terms of printing things out. Also, you have D&D Beyond has a character builder. You can actually build the character online, and then you can export it as a PDF, or you can print it if you want to. And there are lots of third-party character builders out there, whether it's on your phone, on software on your computer, or it is a paper version of the character sheet. That's either a fillable PDF, there are various different ones, or you're looking at something that is actually something you can print out. Somebody's created their own character sheet. There's some very cool ones out there. Character creation basic steps. What do the basic steps of character creation actually look like? Well, first off, select the level of your character that you're starting at and write it down on the character sheet. Now, you'll need to determine that by talking to your Dungeon Master. Your Dungeon Master will tell you what level you're starting at. Sometimes you start at level 1, sometimes you start at level 3, sometimes at level 4 or 5. Okay, it's not always going to be level 1. Make sure you find out that information, and that's what goes onto the character sheet. Select the class for your character and write down the relevant details on your character sheet. You'll find the vast majority of the class information is in the player's handbook on page 45 through to 119, but there are supplements that give you access to other things, but you need to get sign off from your Dungeon Master. I would also say when you're looking at playing a character, particularly for the first time, don't get too carried away. Try not to look at all the options. That can be quite overwhelming. There's time, okay? You can play other characters in the future. Select the race for your character and write down the relevant details on your character sheet. You'll find the vast majority of the races, the standard ones, are available in the player's handbook. They're on page 17 to 43, and that's sort of like your human, elf, your gnome, half-orc, tiefling, dragonborn, stuff like that, okay? And of course dwarves. There are dwarves in there as well. When you select your race, it does not need to synergize or optimize with your class. I know that some people like to do that. That's fine, but really it's not necessary. Select the background for your character and write down the relevant details on your character sheet. You'll find that the vast majority of the backgrounds you'll find in the player's handbook again on page 125 to 141. There are many different backgrounds scattered throughout many different supplements, just like the races as well. I'm going to say right now, you can actually make your own. You can change and modify the existing ones. There's a section at the back, last paragraph of backgrounds in the player's handbook, and it actually talks about how to go about making your own backgrounds, how to modify them, how to do it legitimately, and you just need to get sign off from your dungeon master. It's not hard to do. It's going to become the default in the future, so you might as well embrace it now, okay, because it's always been there. It's not actually that new. It's just being brought to the forefront. Select a feat for your character if you get any, and write down the relevant details on your character sheet. You'll find that feats in the player's handbook are on page 165 to 170. Not all characters get feats though. Like when you're starting out, if you're not a variant human, you usually don't get a feat. But also too, some dungeon masters like to give out a feat at level 1 or at lower levels. And if you start at level 3 or 5, you may find you have a feat option available when you start off building this character. So consider looking at that stuff. If your dungeon master doesn't use feats, there's probably a good reason for that. Feats add a lot of customization, also a lot of complexity. They also make your character significantly more powerful compared to somebody who doesn't take feats, provided they know which feats to take. So yes, check with your dungeon master, are we allowed to use feats and when do we get to use them? There are some set parameters around that, but again, you need to check with your dungeon master about that sort of stuff. And then determine the character's 6 ability scores with the different method that's been approved by your dungeon master. Whatever that method is, whether it's be the point buy system, standard array, or rolling dice. And you'll find that those systems and how they work are actually listed in the player's handbook on page 12 and 13. So that gives you the basics around character creation. But there are a few things we need to finish off with our character creation before we are done, and that is the advanced character details. This is all the stuff that you were probably a little bit more worried about. That's selecting spells for your character if you have spells to cast. Write down the relevant details on your character sheet. Spells you'll find in the player's handbook on page 207 to 289, and then select or buy some equipment for your character. And write down those relevant details on your character sheet as well. Equipment is usually found in the player's handbook on page 143 to 161. Now that gets most of it done, and now we're dealing with the mathematics. I'm sorry to say that there is a few things. There's a lot of numbers on a character sheet that mean different things, and so we have to actually do the mathematics behind that. So calculating your ability modifiers, proficiency bonus, skill modifiers, saving throw modifiers, your armor class, your hit points, your initiative, your passive perception, weapon attack bonuses, weapon damage formulas, and there's a lot of them, spell attack bonuses, spell saving difficulty classes. Now, it sounds overwhelming. I've just listed off a lot of different stuff. But fortunately, most of the formulas for figuring out this stuff are actually fairly simple. You just need to know what they are, okay? And that's what this class is all about. And we're going to make it very easy for you today. We're actually going to get a piece of software to do all the mathematics for you so you don't have to figure it out as your first foray into this. Then you can select or draw a character portrait for your character. It's not vital, but it does help connect your concept and your imagination of the character you're trying to play to a physical medium, which is a digital image or a paper picture of some kind. Now, not everybody needs to make a character portrait. If you feel like that's too much, then that's fine. Leave it alone, move on. There's other things you can do with your time. Okay, miscellaneous recommendations. I always give some sort of miscellaneous recommendations when I run this class. I'm going to say right now, your character background can be anything that you want it to be. It does not need to be selected to optimize with your class and your race, okay? You can change the pre-made backgrounds, as I said. You can adjust them, you can make your own. You just need to have a discussion with your dungeon master. I think the best way to look at a background is, what did you do before you became an adventurer or a hero? So your background may relate in no way to what you currently are doing. You could have a farmer who just tilled the ground, and now they've decided to go off and become a wizard. And they went to wizard school, they learned their art, and now they are, adventuring or working for the king. Who knows? You decide, right, as part of your group discussion, and what the adventure is going to look like and what the dungeon master is running. So backgrounds are not necessary to be synergized with your race and your class. That's the first thing I want to say. Next, race. What race you select no longer has any real bearing on the character whatsoever, because it's so flexible, the system that is now available to you. They have changed the way races work. That means that the increases to your ability scores are not set in concrete. Like, you can put them wherever you want. Of course, if you're using the older version of them, then you won't be able to do that. But a lot of people are using the newer version, okay? And you can also create your own races. With a discussion with your dungeon master, that might be a possibility. So you don't feel like your race needs to synergize with the class you have selected, because that's actually not important at all now. I want to advise you, select adventuring gear, please. It's easy to do. Any player can do it. There are no restrictions on characters in terms of what gear they can purchase. You just need to have a shop where you can go and buy it from. It will help prepare you for the adventures you go on, help you solve problems and deal with the challenges that you face. And you'll find there are situations where you will require something, and if you don't have that equipment, you won't be able to do it. You cannot always rely on something like your class features, your race abilities, or your background, okay, or what spells you cast. There's some things that need to be done with mundane equipment, and I actually have a whole video that's designated to that talks about how to use mundane adventuring gear in your campaigns and adventures to solve problems. There are ways you can use it. There's a whole series. Go check it out. My last thing that I want to mention is note down the page number in the player's handbook for any of the spell descriptions that you have, because trying to memorize all those spells is hard to do. You won't know how they work. So have a page number beside the spell when you write the spell into your character sheet. Also write down the race abilities. What page number do I need to refer to for the race abilities when I'm dealing with that? If you can get it all onto the character sheet, that's great, but sometimes the character sheet's just not big enough to do something like that. Same thing with class features and abilities, and the same thing with any background features as well. Make sure you include page numbers so you can go back and refer to those sections in the book if you're working primarily from the player's handbook. If you're working from different sources, it's a good idea to include the page number of the different source books that you're using if you're using other supplements in your game. Whew, that's a lot. I said a lot. But we're not finished. But I need to have a drink of water. All right, I'm sucking it up. I'm getting ready for the big haul. This is what we're here for. We're going to talk about the Paladin. Okay. I'm going to thank my friends who, after many arguments about this, and we didn't agree. I mean, we were nice about it, but we did argue quite a bit about how to present the Paladin. In the end, I made the executive decision that the discussion around the Paladin had to stay simple. And so what I present today is the sword and board. Okay? I will explain. Here we go. I can just see it now. There's going to be somebody who's going to get upset by this right now. So don't get upset, people. Okay, remember, just don't get upset. Paladin basics. The Paladin basics, I've decided in this case to present the sword and board Paladin. What that means is we're looking at a Paladin that primarily focuses on strength and wearing armor, using a shield, and wielding a weapon. Sometimes it might be a single-handed weapon, sometimes it might be a two-handed weapon, but primarily we're focusing in on a paladin who is going to be wearing armor, and that means they need to be strong. So with a paladin, I'm going to recommend that strength should be your highest ability score, because it's directly connected to how well you fight in melee and your ability to wear heavy armor. You need to be strong enough to wear it. It's wise to increase the strength of your paladin to 20 reasonably quickly rather than taking feats, but there are benefits to taking feats as well. Charisma and Constitution are your second most important ability scores, because they are related to how long your paladin survives in a battle, and you're going to be in the front line probably, how well your divine spellcasting magic works, and also it affects, particularly charisma, it affects the powers of your, or strength of your aura. Your auras are a big aspect of a paladin. Proficiency with the persuasion charisma skill or athletics strength skill is kind of expected by a paladin. You don't need to take both, but I would take at least one of them, because you will be strong at these, because you have a high charisma, particularly around persuasion. High charisma, but also paladins carry a message. Whether it's a message people want to hear or not is another thing, but they always carry a message. You want to wear heavy plate armor. The reality is, if you're doing a paladin and you're focusing on strength, you want to wear heavy plate armor, the best armor you could possibly put on. So you will need a strength score of 15 to meet that requirement. And a paladin has proficiency with heavy armor. So you can get that relatively quickly, provided you can find enough money to pay for that armor, or you find it. Fighting styles for the paladin. These are important. They determine your ultimate focus. There are only 3 that I can think of that are probably the ones you want to look at. That is the great weapon fighting one. This is where you will be using a 2-handed weapon and not a shield. That doesn't change the fact that you will be focusing down on strength. Defense, because that makes it harder for you to be hurt or injured or hit. And then dueling, for obvious reasons, because you're going to be carrying a single-handed weapon in one hand and a shield in the other. Okay, dueling is a good option as well. You only get 2 first-level spells at character level 2, because you don't get spells for a paladin at level 1. You get them at level 2. So please ensure when you get those spells that you take Bless and Shield of Faith. Now, I would say Bless or Shield of Faith. I had some arguments with some of my my group around this, and I'm happy for you to disagree with me, but let's not get into a silly argument about the whole thing. Ultimately, pick up Bless and Shield of Faith at some point. The best first level spells for a paladin, frankly, I would say are Wrathful Smite and Heroism. I'm sure some of the other spells can be used in various ways, but these are the ones that stand out as far as I'm concerned. The best feats for a paladin will generally be, and actually there aren't that many feats, frankly, that I think a paladin can benefit from without going into a specialized build, and that's not what we're talking about today. We're not talking about a specialized build. We're talking about beginner character creation for a paladin. So what are the basics? Alert. Like every character benefits from alert. 1, you can't be surprised, and you get to add a +5 to your initiative. Acting first in combat is a big deal in Dungeons & Dragons 5e, so that's why alert is such a good feat. Next, I'm going to say something like Great Weapon Master. Great Weapon Master, I'm still going to suggest that it's probably better to take that at about level 4 rather than picking it up when you start out. Why? Because your attack modifier is just not high enough. There is a thing called bound accuracy in Dungeons & Dragons, which means the monster's armor class generally doesn't increase as you level up, which means that as you get higher in levels, your benefits grow and theirs diminish. So you're probably better off to use the full extent of Great Weapon Master, and about level 4 is the best time to do that rather than that first level. Inspiring Leader. You can't go wrong with this feature. I mean, it helps everybody. So Inspiring Leader is a good feat. Lucky. There isn't a class that doesn't benefit from Lucky. Why? Because you get to re-roll 3 dice. It's simple as that. And then lastly, Pole Arm Master. I'm going to stipulate, again, you get to use reach weapons. You have a significant benefit in using reach weapons. Pole Arm Master is a great feat. Again, I would say you probably want to be picking this thing up at about level 4 or higher rather than early on. Those are the feats that I would select if I were you, and it certainly will be dependent on the type of Paladin you have built. So you won't take Great Weapon Master or Pole Arm Master if that's not your primary weapon that you're going to use with your character. But if it is, then great. You wouldn't take both. That would be quite silly. In any case, this is the basics for the Paladin. Wow, lots to say. We'll see how that goes in terms of a response from people. But in any case, I am hoping that this was useful to you. If it was, fantastic. Please let me know in the comment section if you have any questions, and if you have anything you want to add, any advice you would like to give, any feedback, put it there. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. Okay. Drink of water. Let's go to the chat. And then we're into character creation today, which means we've got a lot to do and never enough time, and I need to look after myself today, so I'm going to be doing this. I have every intentions of making this live stream far more interactive, people. I am still really upset about what happened with the Dungeon Master preparation around the Beholder Lair. I'm still bitter that didn't turn out better, and that I didn't have that worked out better. I still want to fix that, but I'm going to have to sit on it and just say, nah, I'll fix it in about a year's time. I'll come back to it in about a year's time. We'll do it again. Somebody will say, man, can we talk about that? And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Let's do that. But in any case, let's get into this and see how we go. Oh my gosh. So, first off, looking at the chat, what have we got here? Is this your first time creating a Paladin for Dungeons & Dragons 5e? Yes, 30% out of 10 votes. So that's not a lot of people here, but those of you who are still here and new, please let me know who you are. And if you need help building a character, we'll help you today. We've done it before for people. We'll help you build your character today on D&D Beyond. First level, I'm not going to go too high, but you just let me know. Yes, Nacho, I need to stop stressing about it, I know. And then no, 50%. So a lot of you have actually built characters before for the Paladin. Okay, good. And then just watching 20%. Okay, good to know. Great. Hello, Pedro. How are you? Pedro Floor? I think it's Pedro Floor. Floor, is that Colombian or is it Spanish? I cannot remember. You just made a human Paladin level 1. Okay, great. Awesome. Hello, James. How are you? Blessings. Thank you. Thank you very much. Spirit Wolf is here. Hello, Spirit Wolf. How are you? Ugly Weirdo. Ahoy. How are you? Today we're going Paladin, which is... I don't know what to say about the Paladin. The discussions in my group about the Paladin were potentially contentious. I can tell you now there was a divide between us when I was putting this material together. Not a terrible. It's not like a social media divide. That's a different story. But yeah, there was a divide amongst us as I was putting that material together. Okay, Nacho Man. Hello, Nacho Man. Also a patron and supports me on Patreon. Hello, how are you? How are you doing? So one of the best ways to support me on Patreon to ensure that this class continues and all the other classes that I run is on Patreon. Pay like $1 a month or more if you want. You get a lot of stuff. You really do. And you support these programs continuing. Okay, they are intended to be classes. I know YouTube is entertainment, but I'm using YouTube as a educational platform rather than an entertainment platform. How well is that working for me? We'll see. Okay, James, what do you got here? I had an old school AD&D 1E Paladin, truly one of the best characters and best experiences that I... Okay, cool. Played right is a lot of fun. Yes, I think the idea behind the Paladin is play a Paladin. However, but remember, Paladins they're not lawful stupid. Okay, and they're not necessarily goody shoes. I know a lot of people are still tied to that, but they I think we still have paladins of different natures. The one that we're very much aware of is the very good lawful paladin who smites evil, which is fine. When we can do that. Alert is a great feat for barbarians as well. Alert is a great feat for any character. There isn't a single character that doesn't benefit from alert. And I'm not really a feat person. I'm not, I have feet. I have 2 feet. But in terms of playing Dungeons and Dragons, I'm not really that invested in them. How's it going, Blade Roberts? Hello, how are you? Haven't seen you for a while. I would imagine that there's got to be one of those times here where there's been so many people who have joined, and I just do not keep up with them well enough nowadays because I'm just running from one live stream to the next, trying to keep my head above water as I do this. So Blade Roberts is a patron on Patreon and supports me as well in doing this program, and thank you very much for doing so. So yes, it takes me a little while sometimes to remember a name and that's right, that's a patron there. I forgot about that. How are you doing? Yes, I will stop stressing about the Beholder Lair stuff, but I'm still going to do another one with Beholder Lair in the future, but probably a year from now when I've let the dust settle. I want to do a tiefling paladin that worships the Church of Money or something like that. Okay, right, okay. Whenever I hear paladin, I always think of the Simpsons meme. That's paddling? Right, really? That's what you think? Okay, so we've got through the chat. I'm going to grab my phone. I'm going to start my phone up so that I can actually track the chat. As you know, you will need some dice, people, because I will make you roll dice during this. That's just how it works for me. Is I get people to roll dice. Why would I not do that? It's too much fun not to. I can probably take these off. I don't know that these are necessarily going to be that useful to me. We're going to head over to D&D Beyond. For those of you who are wondering, will I ever use fillable PDFs or paper? Absolutely, it will happen, just not today. Okay, so don't fret. All will happen. Give it time. And I know there's a few of you who are wondering, will this program ever go from beginner character creation to character creation? Yes, it will, but not just yet. It will go to that. It's just not going to happen straight away. Okay, so let's see if I can find my window. Is that my window? Apparently this is the window capture. But I can't see my window capture. Why can't I see my window capture? Oh, that's not necessarily the window capture I was hoping for. What I would like is for the thing that I want to come up. Please don't muck with me, phone, today. I really don't appreciate it. Don't screw things up. Let's no, nobody's actually said they absolutely want to do look, the question has to be asked. Do you want to use all of the stuff that's available on D&D Beyond? Like everything that's available, do you want to use everything? Or would you prefer not to use everything, and instead what I do is I just use the free stuff? And also too, I would very much like to know, is there somebody who is like, I need to build a character at level 1, and I've never done it before. Can you help me? And I'm happy to do that. Like, that's fine. That's kind of why we're here in the first place. In any case, let's transition over and see if we can get to work. I will have a break at the 1 hour mark, and then I will come back and we'll continue. Okay, I've got that all done. My phone is not doing what it's supposed to be doing, which is catching up to live stream. Okay, there we go. Catching up to live stream. Right, so we go into collections, my characters. This is it. Oh, please don't. Oh, yeah, I can feel the mucus coming up. Oh, God, it's disgusting. Oh, right. So you can have up to 6 free characters on D&D Beyond. So you can make a few. Now, the button to actually create characters for free is here. You press that, and we're away. Okay? And you can go randomize and just do it all random, so you don't have to do any work, spit out a character fast, or do quick build, or you can use the standard system, which is what we're going to use, and you press the text button to show everything as you go through. Which is what we are going to use today. That is my intention, is to use that particular mode. Here's my first question though. I need to know from you, do we use the free version or do we use the paid version? Hello Travis, how are you? I started with the free character but quickly upgraded to at least having the full player's handbook and tons of options. Okay Travis. So that's my look. Do I type it in here? Hashtag free or paid version of character builder. Because I do have the paid version. But I don't want to use it if that's not what people want. So, first question for you people, if you need to decide, is like, where are we going? Are we going free? I'm happy to do free. I would very much like, if you're unable to type anything into the chat, it's because you're not subscribed. You need to be subscribed for at least 20 minutes. Okay. So make sure you've done that. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very difficult. Hello, Nacho Man. I'm just on my lunch prepping Wave Echo Cave for this week. I just listened to you in the background today. Sorry. No, that's fine. Let the others decide. Well, I'm finding. I'm ready. I'm ready and waiting for somebody to comment. There are people here. Maybe everybody's at work and they just can't comment. They can't say, it's the Fred. Fred, let's take the paid version. Let's take the free version. First person to say something like, I want the paid version. You only have the free. Blade, we're doing the free one today. Here we go. So I've gone through, showed you where we're going. We hit the button. We're not paying for a thing today. But I have the books. Free is okay, Spirit Wolf. I can do it on paper. Okay. All right. So, well, you said free, so I just, as soon as I saw the word free, I said, okay, we'll do free. We'll do free, we can do paid some of the time. It's not like we're not going to build another Paladin in the future. So there's a button here for going previous and next, so we'll go next. We can randomize, pressing the randomize button to actually create a random name. Samaria. Like, I can't remember. Look, how about you create a name, people? Come up with a name for me. Hashtag. Create a name. Create a name for this character. Oh, I can see there's trouble coming. Hey man, I am sure that given the time zone changes, that's probably... So this button here, randomize, can change the name, but I can also type into here whatever I like. Underneath, you'll see Fantasy Name Generator. It's a really good website. Gives you access to a whole lot of different things. Oh my God, the gas is coming bad. And I recommend checking out that website if you haven't. Okay, Frank Roberts has got Frank. You can also, there's a plus sign where there's a portrait we can include. We won't do that till later on. We're going to turn off Magic the Gathering content and Eberron content and Dragonlance content. Okay, we're turning off all of that stuff. Okay, and non-core, we're not turning on any of that. Okay, all right, so dice rolling, we can do that. Optimal class features, we won't do that. Or customizing origins, we won't use any of that today. Big Boomer, Spirit Wolf has got Big Boomer. Milestones, check with your Dungeon Master whether they're using milestones or not. If they're not, then use the experience points. There's a little drop down menu that allows you to pick whichever one you need. I'm the Dungeon Master, I'm using milestones, so that's the one we're going to pick. James, hello James, you've got Kutoa. Nice job. We're not going to be using feats necessarily because that is the paid version, and multi-classing, don't need to worry about that either. Show the level scaled spells. Do we need to worry about that? I don't know that we need to. Well, we can. We'll just leave it. Select whether you're using encumbrance or not. No encumbrance. If you're in encumbrance, we'll just put using encumbrance. I'm not going to bother turning on the weight of our coins. That won't come into Sternum Brightblade. Okay, so Sternum Brightblade is from the Dragonlance. It's a character from the Dragonlance world. What a surprise that name would come up. I'm eyeing James's name. I feel like that's a good compromise at present. This can be public. I don't care. And modifiers at the top. Now, why? Because you'll use the modifier more than the ability scores. So in terms of your ability score, it's the big number, okay? And the smaller number is the modifier. And the modifier is the one you use so much. So always have that at the top because it will be larger on the actual character sheet. So that's what I'm going to recommend. So going back to the top here, James has put in a character, Kutoa. Kutoa it is. We're Kutoing it today. I might just make my head slightly bigger than I have. That way you get a better view of my hat. Am I taking the piss? Yeah, a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, good. We've got that done. We can move on. So, I'm not going to do the picture until later on. Race. We're going to pick a race from the options available. Okay, so looking at our race. Oh, I need a throat lozenge. Now, we're not using everything, remember? It's got here all sources, basic rules. We're restricting it right down. Look at that. That list got small. Dragonborn, dwarf, elf, half-orc, halfling, human, rock gnome, and the tiefling. So let me just type in here, and you're going to pick me a race, people. Hashtag pick a race. So if you were unaware, because it's not a character that I'm going to be playing personally, and since nobody said they wanted us to make their character for them, we can go nuts today. I know you guys want to go super silly, so super silly it can be. Like, we can go super silly. You can pick something right out there. We can do whatever you like. So pick a race. I am not invested in the aspect. At least to a certain extent, you do get a couple of options in terms of the different races that you can pick. If you go sub tiefling, cool, we'll do that one. That was nice and easy. Thank you very much. Thank you, Spirit Wolf. You moved us on. Good news, good news. So we get dark vision. We know how that works. Hellish resistance. Okay, who are resistant to fire. And we get the Infernal Legacy, which basically means we get a cantrip, Thaumaturgy, and at level 3 we get Hellish Rebuke, and then that's in level 5 we get Darkness, isn't it? Darkness. Cool. That's fun. Nice and easy. We don't have to worry about selecting anything. Sweet ass. Nacho, no, only the free stuff. So only the stuff in the basic game. Okay. Right, it's done. We've done Tiefling. Tiefling? Okay, class. Here we go. Well, we know what class it's going to be. It's a Paladin today, right? There's no, that's not. So we get Divine Sense at level 1. Or as it's commonly called, Divine Sense is classified as Divine I don't care, because it doesn't work like Detect Evil or Good anymore. But in any case, yeah, it's not quite what we were after, but never mind. We get Lay on Hands at level 1, very useful, does all sorts of cool things, kind of makes you even better than a cleric in many respects. Yeah, that's a weird one. And then the other features you get later on. We're not dealing with spell casting for this, but we do need to pick some proficiencies, because we get some. Okay, so our hit points are determined. Now this is where you change your level. We're going to be level 1. We get our maximum hit points of 10, because it's a 10-sided dice. And then after that we'll be doing whatever system, whether it's the average or rolling, like that would be later. Okay, next, proficiencies. It lists all our proficiencies. We get all armor and shields proficient. We get simple weapons, martial weapons. We get everything. We don't have any tool proficiencies. A bit of a shame. We get saving throws for wisdom and charisma. And then we get to choose 2 skills. So, this is the time. I am not invested too much in what you pick, frankly. Pick a skill. We need 2 of them. So if you pick 1 or 2, I would prefer you to pick 1 so we get the feedback from more than one person. So if you put in 2 skills, expect the first one to be the one I pick from the chat. Okay, so what are our choices? We get either athletics, insight, intimidation, medicine, persuasion, and religion. And I did say that as a general rule, athletics, if you're strong, is kind of expected, and persuasion, or even in fact intimidation, is kind of something that people expect if you've got a good charisma. But you don't have to do it that way, people. It's all right to pick something else. Spirit Wolf has decided intimidation. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. That has made a decision. We got 1 down. I'm looking for number 2. So for those of you who are like, oh, look, you don't have to know whether it's a good idea. It doesn't have to be a good idea. We're just making a character. Athletics, insight, medicine, persuasion, religion. What's it going to be? We've got religion. Blade Roberts, thank you for that. We've got it down. Blade Roberts, put down a religion. Okay, we're not going to worry about having strength. We could pick up strength in our background if we wanted to. Remember, we can actually modify that background. Okay, so everything else is done for us. We are ready to move on. Let's do that. Our generation method. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So we get to pick. How do we pick our ability scores? Is it going to be the standard array? Is it going to be rolling manually? Or are we going to do the point buy? Hashtag pick an ability score generation method. Generation method. Good phone. Good phone. All right. So I don't know if you can see the drop down menu. D&D Beyond has a dice roller. Look, you can also enter it in manually if you wanted to. So even if you don't want to use their dice roller and you want to use your own physical dice, you can roll. Spirit Wolf, right? Typing in roll twice does not mean that you get 2 votes, but we'll do roll. Fast and frenzy. Okay, so let's just move this up a little bit. Now these buttons, these green buttons that say roll, this is to roll it online using D&D Beyond, but you can use your own and just enter in the results, okay? That's perfectly fine too. So let's roll some dice. First one. James agrees. It's time to roll. It's time to roll because for every table that doesn't get to roll for ability scores, everybody wants to roll. I know my table wants to roll all the time. Doesn't always work out that well though. 6, a 5, a 3, and a 1. So out of that, we drop the lowest number, which is the 1. So we get a 14. It's not too bad. Good dice, good dice. So somebody's trying to appease the... Pray to the dice gods, people. What do we get next? I don't know if you can see this one. 5, 6, 4, and a 4. Okay, that's a pretty high score. My head might have been in the way for that one. I'm pretty sure that my head might be just a little bit too big to see everything. Sorry about that. Next one. We get a 6, a 5, a 2, and a 1. So we get a 13. It's looking pretty good so far. Cross those fingers, people. Here we go. So we drop the lowest number each time we roll those 4 dice. So you roll 4 dice, you drop the lowest number. That's normally the default method for determining ability scores. Some dungeon masters allow you to roll 3 dice and you have to keep whatever's on the 3 dice, and that's it. Next one. We got, is that a cocked dice? Is that a 6, a 4, 2, and a 1? Yeah, it is. Okay, so we drop the 1. We get a 12 in total. Next dice. 6, 3, 3, and 1. So we get a 12. It's pretty good scores. I mean, seriously, it's certainly, I would say that's above. Doesn't that look like that's above sort of average? Okay, last one. Do we get low numbers? A 6, a 5, a 5, and a 1. Holy shit. Oh my god. So our Paladin's going to rock the house tonight, people. So first off, we have hot dice. I think these dice have been rigged. but in any case, let's deal with assigning stuff. We're going to make our biggest number, which is 16. We're going to make that strength. Okay? The next one is we need to decide what is the 15 going to be. It probably should be either Constitution or Charisma. Frankly, at this point, I don't think it matters too much because we've also got a 14. Okay. Hashtag. What do we select for the 15? Okay. So I've already selected strength. So you don't have to worry about that one. That's done. But what's the 15 going to be? Do we want the 15 to be charisma? Or do we want the 15 to be constitution? Constitution. Thank you, Spirit Wolf. Constitution it is. Remember I said that charisma is the next most important, so we're going to make this charisma, the 14. Mathematically right now it actually doesn't mean much because, a 14 and a 15 still has the same modifier. So not a big deal. Not really. What will be a big deal is what should the 13 be? Hashtag. What do we select for the 13? Now, any of you, look, even if you have never built a character before, you are welcome to take part in this. I have a lot of people who follow me through all of my lessons, and so for them, this is just like a let's hang out and do fun stuff. So, while you decide, that means that whatever we pick for our 13, the other 2 scores won't matter because they're both 12s. So, wisdom. So, we're going to go wisdom. Okay. Thank you, Spirit Wolf. Our dex is quite high and our intelligence is quite high. Okay, apply the ability scores. Now, if you don't do that, they don't wind up showing up in the empty boxes at the top. And all the stuff that we've just done is just lost. Okay, I'll see you later, Nacho. Have a good day. Don't work too hard. Okay, apply this. The numbers are up. There they go. They're in there. Now, we selected a tiefling, right? And so there we'll have some bonuses. So if we scroll down here, it shows us the maths. This is a reason why I actually use D&D Beyond as a beginner introduction to this process, because it does all the mathematics for you rather than you have to figure it out or me show you and explain how the maths is done. And I think the first time you make a character, it's good to get a piece of software to do it for you. Do you know what I mean? So our strength is a 16. Modifier will be +3. There's no racial bonus, no other bonuses. Our dexterity is a 12. Our modifier will be a +1. And our constitution is a 15, so our modifier will be a +2. No racial bonuses. Scrolling down. Our intelligence is a 13. That's because we had a base of 12, but we get a racial bonus on our intelligence of +1. So it goes to a 13. Okay? So mathematically, it doesn't change very much. And then our wisdom is a 13, so we get a +1 on 13. And our charisma winds up being a 16. Now, the reason it's worked this way is because even though we're using the older races and rather than the flexible options, tieflings have a bonus to charisma. So our 14 that we selected that would give us a bonus of +2 is now a 16 because we get a 2 points from the racial bonus. So we now have a modifier of +3, which makes our paladin really, really strong. Yes, Spirit Wolf, I'm aware. You have controlled the table. If you don't get in fast, it's going to happen. So we now have a very, very strong paladin who's probably going to kick some butt. And yeah, kick butt, take names. Here we go. Next, describing our character. Okay, so first off, we're going to pick a background in a second. But since we have selected Tiefling, we will select something for our Paladin Tiefling. I don't know if they are necessarily male or female. Frankly, I'm not too worried about that. Just find a cool picture and go with that. I like this one here. Now, background. So we're going to select background. Now, we only get a few selections, so don't get carried away. I'll tell you what the selections are. And you will pick. Remember, we're using the free version. Pick our background. Okay, and yes, we could customize a background, but that would add a lot of time. And remember, Fred isn't that well. Fred isn't that well. So our backgrounds that we get are acolyte, criminal, spy, folk hero, haunted one, noble, sage, soldier. If you absolutely must have a custom background, then I will select it because it is available as part of the free version. Would you believe it, people? So if you want custom, say custom. If you want acolyte or criminal or spy or folk hero or haunted one or noble or sage or soldier, I'm the dungeon master building a character. I will let you do that if you want to. But that does add a little bit of extra time to this live stream, which won't matter because I won't be going to work today. But I will be going to the toilet very shortly. So I'm interested to see what people wind up doing. I'm suspecting this will be the day that somebody says custom, but we'll see. Oh dear. So since I'm not seeing a response, noble. Thank you, Spirit Wolf. We'll go noble. Noble it is. We're done. Cool. What do we get? Well, an exclamation mark beside an option means we get to pick something. So we get history and persuasion. And we don't have persuasion, and we don't have history, which is fine. That's all good. That's fine. We'll do that. It is top of the hour. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get people to select I'm going to get you to select a game set and to get you to select a language as well. So I'm going to type them in and then I'm going to take my break and I'll come back. Hashtag. Pick a language. That's the first thing. Well, the second thing, but in pick a game set. So what are the game sets? In terms of the languages, pick a game set. The different game sets are as follows. Dice, dragon chess, playing cards, or 3 dragon ante. The languages are anything you want. And so I am going to go and zip on over to I'm taking a break. Arnold will look after you for about 5 minutes while I do what I need to do, and then I'll come back and we'll fill in the details for the background. Oh, Spirit Wolf is doing all the work today. You know, those of you who are in the chat, you are welcome to participate. You really are. You don't need to feel like you can't say something. It's not really a big issue. We are just building a character. Okay. There is no judgment about your selection as long as you're selecting the things that are actually options. It's all good. Anyway. Okay. Coming back over. Transition over. There. There we go. And that's the window. And then over to here. Okay, so Spirit Wolf. I really enjoy this interaction, making a character. Great stuff. James, I'm glad you do. James, Spirit Wolf has selected some stuff, but I would love for you, James, to actually vote for something. Like pick something. Pick a game set. Pick a language. I will add it in. If you're unsure about the languages or the game sets, I can actually list off the languages. I did mention the different game sets, but so the languages you could take Abyssal or Celestial. I don't know what the heck that's supposed to be. Deep Speech, Draconic, Dwarvish, Elfish, Giant, Gith, Gnomish, Goblin, Hidozi, Flying Monkey basically, Halfling, the Kriddle, Leonin. I'm playing a Leonin character right now actually. That's basically a big lion. Loxodon is a humanoid elephant person from Ravnica, which I think is a very cool race, frankly. I would kind of like that in any location, just about. And hello, Big Clue. How are you? The dice set. What else have we got here? We've got Minotaur, Nosh. Is it Noosh? I don't know. What is Noosh? Musqueen. I don't know what the heck that's supposed to say there. Hard to tell what those are. Orc, Primordial, Query, Sylvan, Thrycreen is like the insect race. There's a few others here I can't actually pronounce. Undercommon, Velkin, is it Vedelican? Oh, I can't say. My brain's going. It's going. Whew. James, you've said Celestial. James, I'm taking that. I'm taking the die set. Thank you, Spirit Wolf, for encouraging them. We're in business now. We've got it. Okay, so we'll go Celestial. That's James's contribution. And Big Clue said the die set. So we'll take the die set. And okay, so we've got those in place. Get rid of your dice, people. You're going to need some dice, some 8-sided dice and some 6-sided dice, because we're going to do some other stuff. So we've got our position of privilege, which is pretty basic. It hasn't changed. Now this is where we start rolling dice. So roll 2 8-sided dice. Here we go. Hashtag. Roll 2 D8. Okay. I'll take Celestial for $600, Alex. Yeah, well, that's not. It's not. You don't have to put numbers on it. We don't have to put a money value on it. Not at all. Happy to catch another a live stream. Look, I do know that I do a lot of live streams. Spirit Wolf has got in here 6 and 3. Okay, let's see what 6 and 3 is. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to put in the next numbers that need to be rolled. Hashtag. Need to pick. No, so not pick. Roll. You can select them. You don't have to roll, by the way, when you're doing this. These are just the characteristics of the character you're playing. If you don't want to do it randomly, then don't do it randomly. Just pick the things. I often just pick them rather than roll. I'm rolling it because who's going to play this character? Like, we can do whatever we like with it. Roll 3 D6. Okay. I know some of you won't have dice on you. If you're new here, every time you come back here, make sure you have dice with you. So Spirit Wolf rolled a 6 for our personality traits. We need 2 of them. What do we get? My eyes are working badly now. Great. Despite my noble birth, I do not place myself above the other folk. We all have the same blood. Yes, we do have all the same blood, unless it's not red. But will that actually matter at all? And in any case, it doesn't. It's all good. It is a fantasy world. Number 3 you rolled up here was no one could doubt by looking at my regal bearing that I am a cut above the unwashed masses. Really? Is that what we're dealing with there? Okay. All right. Let's do that one. We'll put it in. Selected. Scrolling down, ideals, bonds, and flaws. This is where we roll a 6-sided dice. That's why I asked you to roll 3 6-sided dice, people. So Spirit Wolf, you have rolled already. So you first one for our ideals, you rolled a 6. Noble obligation. It is my duty to protect and care for the people beneath me. Now, one of the things that's going to happen in the future, it hasn't happened yet, is that these ideals, bonds, flaws, and personality traits, these tables and charts, will be removed from backgrounds. They will not exist anymore. I'm very sad to see that. Does that mean that people didn't just create their own? I'll tell you what's going to happen. If there isn't a section on the character sheet that says to write the stuff in, people won't do that sort of thing. There are plenty of people who will, but it was one of the best aspects of the game, is that it allowed you to sort of like, okay, do I want to use the suggestions, or do I want to modify it, or want to make my own? It got you thinking a different way. And yeah, I'm going to be sad to see these disappear from the game. 3, this is Bond. Nothing is more important than the other members of my family. Good to know. They still have family members that the Dungeon Master can kill. Good. And in flaw, number 1, I'm only kidding. Number 1, I secretly believe that everyone is beneath me. Oh my, that is a paladin like you wouldn't believe. I can see that. Yeah, that seems... This is going to be an interesting combination. Beneath me, family members. Gosh, What a house of cards that is, isn't it? I feel like it's definitely a house of cards. It could come down any time. Alignment, I'm just going to put neutral for now. Okay. If you have a god or a faith you would like me to include, I'll write it in. Otherwise, I'm going to skip past it. And we're going to choose a lifestyle. This is where I will get you to make a decision, people. Hashtag pick a lifestyle. What are they? They are wretched, squalid, poor, modest, comfortable, wealthy, or aristocrat. Pick a lifestyle. If you know what the lifestyles are, that's great. If you don't, that's all cool, because I will read them out again. We have wretched, squalid, poor, modest, comfortable, wealthy, aristocrat. Basically, the different lifestyles are in order. The first one I read out, which was wretched, is you pretty much, you're destitute. You've got nothing. Okay, you don't live on anything. Like, you are like poor as poor. Doesn't probably fit with a noble who is a paladin. It's probably not going to work that well by doing it that way. But maybe that's all you've got on you is the armor you're wearing and the heritage of a noble family. And since you're tiefling, you got kicked out. You still love them, but you got to find your own way, and you just don't. You got cut off from your money supply. Who knows? Wealthy spirit will thank you very much. So that will be 4 gold pieces for that one. Okay, got it. Cool. Now going into here, this is the physical characteristics. You can write in the hair, skin, eyes, height, weight, age, gender, all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to worry about any of that sort of stuff. That's up to you. You do that sort of stuff. We will move on. Why am I thinking this way? Primarily because I want to get to equipment. You usually have quite a lot of fun with equipment, people. You're going to have a good time, I'm sure. So there's a button here. If you want to edit your personality traits, your ideals, bonds, and flaws, you can. There's a green button that says Edit Traits. You just click it on, and you go in there, and you can change whatever it was. So we go in here, and like, okay, and then we've got, despite my birth, I do not place myself above other folks. Above other folks. We'll put S there. Here's that. There, we're going to close it, and the changes have been added. It's been done. Done. Cool. Sweet. Easy peasies. So you know how to edit this. You can add them in later. You don't even have to select them. You can just write them in. Okay. Next we have our notes. Our notes for our character sheet are organization. The green button says add notes. That's where you hit it to add anything. You can add in allies, your enemies, your backstory, if you have backstory, and any other information that you have. So that's that. We'll move on. We're going to do equipment now. Now you might have remember I said you can select an equipment package, or you can just use the gold and buy stuff. And I'm going to recommend that you go with select an equipment package, and then whatever gold you have left from your background, which should be about 10 gold pieces, will spend on buying additional adventuring gear to build out the character a bit more. So let's just select stuff, the equipment. So a few choices to make here. You can see there's some things that are set in concrete. We're going to get 25 gold pieces. There's a lot to spend. We're going to have a spend free day? No, we're going to spend high. We could buy some stuff we haven't been able to buy in the past. Couldn't we? Can we get a dog? I think we can get a dog for 20 gold pieces. I can't remember. Anyway, we get ourselves a dog. Okay, so let's pick some stuff, shall we? Hashtag. Pick martial or 2 martial weapons. So pick martial weapon and shield, or we get 2 martial weapons. Of course, we'll need to know what those martial weapons are. So if you can actually tell me, that would be great. Weapon and shield, do you reckon, Spirit Wolf? Weapon and shield. We can go weapon and shield. I mean, I'd be happy to do that. I'm going to have a drink of water while you guys are deciding. So, weapon and shield. Without Spirit Wolf today, I tell you, we wouldn't have. I'd still be sitting here, trying to get stuff done. Okay. So weapon and shield. I'll add that in a second. We either get any simple melee weapon or 5 javelins is the next pick. So hashtag pick. Come on, pick 5 javelins or a simple, and we need to know what the simple weapon is. A simple melee weapon. Melee weapon. Okay. Someone's just said crossbow. So you wanted the, okay, so this is the, we're going with this one. And what did you say? You've gone with a big crossbow. You want a big crossbow? Not a small crossbow, you want a big crossbow. You want a martial weapon that's a crossbow. Crossbow, where is it? Why can't I see it here? Am I blind? Have I missed it? What did you say? You said shield and a weapon. And you've got here crossbow. We're going to need a melee weapon, which is probably the second choice. This is where you're going with this, isn't it? I can see that now. Heavy crossbow. There it is. That's what you're after, eh? Heavy crossbow. Heavy crossbow. Okay, we've got the heavy crossbow. And what are we taking 5 javelins or a simple melee weapon? we haven't established that yet, so it's going to be good to know. I feel like if we're going heavy crossbow, which we can, we probably want to have a melee weapon. But what is it going to be? You tell me, people. So I'm still waiting on that one. Call blimey. Oh, today is a quiet day. It's a noble. Everything needs to be big. That's right. Big and expensive. Big and expensive. So what is our second choice going to be? Is it the 5 javelins or a simple melee weapon? What's it going to be? Spirit Wolf, you seem to be doing all work. Everybody else is getting very quiet. Yeah, probably too busy. They're at work and they can't do stuff. They're typing and listening. Typing and listening, they can't do anything. Anyway, what do we got here? A longsword. Okay, so simple weapon. Do we have a longsword? Or hopefully we do. There is no short sword. It's not going to be a longsword. Okay, because a simple weapon is limited into what we can actually select. We get, yeah, I'm big but not expensive. Yeah, but it's not a simple weapon, longsword. So we get dagger, club, great club, hand axe, javelin, light hammer, mace. Maybe the mace is the way to go. Quarterstaff, sickle, spear, and a yaquila. Yaquila? What the heck is a yaquila? I don't know what a yaquila is. I have no idea what a yaquila would be. What's it going to be, Spirit Wolf and Big Close, since you guys are the only ones who are actually giving me any kind of feedback today? No more daggers. Okay, I won't select daggers. It's all right. No daggers. But tell me, what is it going to be? Is it spear, sickle, quarterstaff, mace, light hammer, javelin, sickle? We're going with a sickle. We're going to have to steal a lot of, or should I say, appropriate a lot of melee weapons. This character has no melee weapons apart from a sickle. Do we have a priest pack or an explorer's pack? Hashtag. Pick a pack. Pick a pack of pickled peppers. Pack. Is it going to be the priest or the explorer? Explorer. There we go. I got it in. Go mace for bludgeoning. You reckon? Don't want to go sickle? You feel bludgeoning is more in the vein of this? I mean, you know, I'm happy to go either way. You know me. Explorer pack is more. Explosives. Explosive. You mean explorer. Explore. James says explorer. So we'll go, yeah, okay, we'll go explorer. That's the pack we pick. It looks like we could go sickle, or we could go mace. We'll go mace. I'm kind of curious. Is there any difference between them? Does it actually make, I mean, in terms of damage output, does the sickle do 1d6 or 1d4, or does it do, I mean, what does it look like? The mace and that. I'm kind of curious now. Just suggesting two different damage types. No, I agree. I'm all for it. I'm just curious as to which one does more damage. I have to admit that a sickle wielding paladin is interesting. Here we go. Simple melee weapons. The mace is a 1d6, 4 pounds. The sickle is a 1d4 slashing damage, and it's light. God almighty. I'm going to leave the sickle for now, and we'll get ourselves a mace later on. Let's pick something here. Do we take the chainmail and a holy symbol? We need to decide, what is our holy symbol going to be? Is it going to be an amulet, an emblem, a reliquary, or a holy symbol? So, hashtag pick a holy symbol. Symbol. That's the thing. Our holy symbol. Is it going to be an amulet, an emblem, a reliquary, or an actual holy symbol? Like, pff. Yep, big clue. Thank you. I looked it up myself too. I was kind of curious. I had forgotten a product of probably not drinking enough water and dehydrating, which is going to happen. Oh gosh, we're moving almost to the bottom. It's almost time to start selecting adventuring gear. I hope you guys are ready for some suggestions. I am. So, I'm waiting for it. An emblem, an amulet, a reliquary, a holy symbol. Dungeons and Chronics, hello, how are you? We need some feedback. I'm still waiting on the decision about what sort of holy symbol we have. We haven't decided whether it's the amulet, the emblem, the reliquary. I don't know. Frankly, what the heck is that thing? And then, is it like something, like a little glass tube that's full of something with like garlic or spices or herbs in there? I can't remember. I'm trying to think back to, what was it? Hellboy. Wouldn't you classify Hellboy as a paladin? I feel like Hellboy is kind of like a paladin, don't you? With the big fist, I feel like that's the smite. Hellboy's a paladin. Okay. What do we got here? Stick it on the shield. You want to stick it on the shield? Of course we're going to stick it on the shield. We just need to know what it is. Holy symbol. Thank God for that. We've got something. Oh, we got to the bottom there. Okay, add the starting equipment. Every time you do the select the equipment thing, you got to make sure once you've picked everything, you press this button. Otherwise, you're starting all over again, okay? So press this button here. So I will. I've done it. I've pressed it. Here it is. We're not finished, though. We need to actually make sure we do so. So choose equipment. Starting equipment has been added to inventory. So we're going to spend our 25 gold pieces. Going to go up here, and we're going to use the pack, please. Make sure you click the button for that. Wear the chainmail until you can get your plate armor, okay? You're going to wield the crossbow, heavy crossbow, even though you're not necessarily wanting to use that right now. We'll deal with that later, okay? Put on the shield, so it does their calculation. Otherwise, the armor class won't take into consideration your chainmail and your shield. And when you're using your heavy crossbow, you just deduct 2 from your armor class to represent that you're using a heavy crossbow, okay, because you're not wearing it. The sickle, click that on as well, so it does all the maths for you. This is one of the good things about D&D Beyond. It does all of the maths behind that. Guard dog. I feel like today is the day we get to finally buy a guard dog, don't you? Absolutely. It's supper time over here, so I'm either cooking or eating. Not a problem. You do the cooking and the eating, and I'll do the talking, and somebody else can do the selecting. We're doing all right. So today we're going to buy a guard dog. Look, for none of you, and if you haven't been here before, we've been trying to buy a guard dog with our starting equipment, starting money for ages, and there's never enough money. Like, there's never enough. But we're going to get ourselves a guard dog today. And what's our guard dog going to be called? So here is the character sheet. You'll notice at the top, all of the ability modifiers are listed. So we know exactly what they are. All of our saving throws are in a box underneath there, to the left. And then if I scroll down a bit, you'll see all the passive checks for perception, investigation, insight. You can't see the proficiency in languages that you have because my fat hoary face is in the way. So I block all of that out. So you can't see that, unfortunately. All the skills have been calculated for you. Okay, with the dot beside it means you're proficient or trained in that particular skill. If there's a big huge D, it says that basically means you have disadvantage when you make that check because you're wearing heavy armor. That's the trade-off. Your initiative is listed here. Your armor class is an 18. Okay, you want to get a mule as well. I don't know if we have enough for a guard dog and a mule, but guard dog certainly top of my list. I don't know about you. It shows our speed. And if we need to add inspiration, we can click it in here, but we don't have inspiration right now. Okay, our options along here. It shows us the attack bonus for our sickle and how much damage it does. It shows us how much damage and what we roll for making an attack that's unarmed and how much damage we do. It shows us how our crossbow, heavy crossbow, what we had used for rolling to attack, and our damage is there. Now, even if you have a character that doesn't have a high dex and you're using a long-range weapon, it would be stupid of you as, frankly, if you're going to play a fighter who's mostly strength-based or a paladin that's mostly strength-based, still get yourself a heavy crossbow or a longbow. It doesn't matter if you're any good with it in terms of hitting it, because you can't hit something if you can't get close enough to it. And there's nothing worse than not being able to actually shoot something because it's 600 feet away. Get yourself a longbow or further. If you can't get up to it to hit it up close, then you need to be able to do something. So make sure you have that. Attack. Actions are listed. Bonus actions, if we need that. We don't have that right now. Reactions, if we have any. Okay, spells. We don't have spells yet. We do have one spell here. This is our little cantrip that we got as part of our race. Sweet as. Hi, Shiner81. Hello. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. We're about to do equipment. And I've got a good number of people here. So we're going to do some equipment in a second. Equipment time. All of our equipment is listed here. And we're going to manage equipment. And it's time to get ourselves a dog. Doggy. Hello, dog. Dog. Is it there? Oh, come on. Are you telling me that if I type in dog, it doesn't come up with guard dog? Why can't I get guard dog? We have been trying to buy a guard dog for so long, and now D&D Beyond is it because it's not part of the free version? Is that what, have we been denied the dog because of that? Oh, that would just suck. Wouldn't that suck? Let me have a look. In the thing, what does it say here? It says here, a camel is 50 gold pieces. Well, we're not going to get a camel. A mule is 8 gold pieces. We could get that. A mastiff is 25 gold pieces. Is that the guard dog? I'm just looking through here. I think that's what it is. We have to buy a mastiff. We can't buy an elephant. That's 200 gold pieces. Too much. But we'll get a mastiff. So there's no dog as such. If I type in, hello Matt, you're late. You are a little bit late. So I'm going to type in mastiff. And there it is. Oh, 25 gold pieces. Well, that's our equipment done. We finally got the dog. A mastiff is a dog, by the way. So if we scroll on down here, I don't know, our mastiff is right here. Yeah. He doesn't weigh anything. We don't have to carry him. He carries his own stuff. In fact, maybe he can carry our shit for us. You know what I mean? So I had to deduct the money for this now. For those of you who haven't figured it out, it's going to be a lot. And this is so funny. 25 gold pieces for a mastiff. And now we're poor again. Well, that was the fastest purchasing of equipment we've ever had. We finally got the dog, but it cost everything we have. Oh, it's so funny. Sorry. Okay, so now before I leave, let me show you where you find how to turn your character sheet into a PDF. I have to say that I think that the D&D Beyond PDF for your character sheet sucks balls, frankly. The printed version, not that great about it either. But there is an option to do this. Okay, so press the button that says Manage beside the name of your character, and it comes up with this. You can change your character sheet appearance here, which you might want to do. And then if you scroll down, you can export it as to PDF. That's one of your options here. You can press that button and we're ready to go. You can also share the link. So for those of you who are playing with somebody, it's a very big dog. Yeah, it's a very big dog. Name the dog Snail. Sure, we can call the dog Snail. So that'll do that. You can also print the character sheet. Like there is an option to actually print it as well. Okay, so if you wanted to do that, you're all good. You're going to be printing from the PDF primarily. Train the dog to pick pockets. You reckon that the dog could pick pockets? I don't know that that's possible. In any case, we built a Paladin today. And before I explode, I think we can say that that was a total success. And we did it in about an hour and a half. An hour and a half, we did everything. It is pretty funny though, isn't it, Matt? I have to say, this is the first time we haven't bought like gazillion ball bearings and chalk and soap and like, oh my gosh, we get everything. Anyway, dear. I'm not going to build another character because, as I said, I am feeling under the weather and not too well, and I need to go and look after myself a little bit. So I'm going to be heading off. We will be back next week, and cross your fingers. We'll be covering, what will we be covering? The Ranger. We haven't done the Ranger. So that means the beginner character creation for the Ranger might finally happen. You might finally get it. So next week, all going well, Ranger. And after that, I know somebody's going to say, but Fred, are we going to see a beginner character creation for the Artificer? There's nothing simple about building an Artificer. There's no such thing as a lesson Fred will ever produce about creating a Artificer for a beginner. Okay? It's absolutely nuts to even consider it. So no, there won't. Will we look at building an Artificer in the future? Yeah, maybe, but not as a beginner lesson. Not a chance. What I will say is, hang in there. We'll be back next week dealing with the Ranger. And then, of course, what happens after that? Well, we go back through everything over again, building each character class again, but with a different sort of approach. Instead of using D&D Beyond, I'll be using some fillable PDFs after next week. Okay? All right. So that sort of highlights the purpose and why we were going with this particular live stream, this ongoing class, as I like to call it. In any case, I want to thank all of my patrons for supporting me on Patreon, who help make this class continue every single week. You really do make it a great experience. I really want to thank those people in the live stream who've been watching the live stream, but particularly those people who've been taking part. And Spirit Wolf, without you, it would not have worked. I want to thank Dungeons and Chronics for showing up near the end, and James for taking part. I hope to see more of you, James, in the future. I want to say thank you for Matt Walker for showing up today, for Shiner81 for suggesting the name of the dog be Snails, and I would like to also thank Big Clue for putting in some feedback there. It does make a big difference if I'm not just talking to myself and somebody else is responding. Otherwise, it becomes a very dull live stream. And also Nacho Man, who also provided some feedback during during the live stream. And Blade Roberts. I almost forgot about Blade Roberts. I think that's everybody that I needed to say thank you to. Oh, Travis. I remember Travis was in here as well, wasn't he? Yes. So thank you for taking part. And Pedro. That's right. Pedro was here as well. Anyway, thank you for watching the replays of my live streams and my edited videos. I'm going to say right now, wherever you are in the world, whether it be the morning, the afternoon, or the night, or the wee early morning, please look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to your neighbours. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.